Hey, it's Deric Lipski coming to you live from inside my office. Again, my name is Deric Lipski, Keller Williams Real Estate. Doing this for a little over 200, it feels like 200, 20 years, thousands of homes sold, hundreds of reviews. You guys can certainly feel free to look any of them up. And I get a lot of questions from buyers and sellers out there. I want to know certain things. So I create these videos to try to help out anybody that can that has a question. Most of the videos that I do like this that are Q&A are questions that were sent to me from another video. People wanted to know an answer. Instead of typing out a life story, I'll just do a video and then link it back to them so you guys can get the answer you're looking for. But I had a viewer send in and says, when I sell my house, do I have to pay the taxes right then and there? So it's a good question because a lot of people don't know this. It all depends on a couple factors. So I guess the first one is, has this property been your primary residence for the last 2 years? If it's only been in private residence for a year and a half, or anything under 2 years, then you have to pay the taxes on any capital gains you have. If it has been your residence for 2 years and above, then you don't pay any taxes on the property up until a certain value. If you're single, you don't pay any taxes over $250,000 of profit. If you're married, $500,000 of profit. So how do we determine profit? Well, you take the original acquisition price, let's say $200,000, and any improvements you've done to it, let's just say 100 grand. So now you're into it for 300 G's total. The sales price is 500, so the profit's only 200, so you pay nothing. If the profit was 260, then you're exempt for 250 of it, but you are to pay tax on 10 of it. So 10 of it you would pay tax on, which again is not that much in the extent of the whole picture. But again, that 2-year mark is what the breaking point is. And if you're single or married, depending on how much profit you make. But believe me, acquisition price and upgrades, people forget the whole time you've owned the property, any and all upgrades you've done to that property is going to work for you in terms of what you shouldn't have to pay tax on when you go to sell the property. So if you had it for 20 years and you bought it for, let's say, 200 grand and you have 300 grand into it and you sell it for $1 million and you're married, well, the profit was only $500,000. You're married, you pay nothing. Let's say the profit is $530,000. Then $500,000 pay nothing on, but the $30,000 you pay money on. So you just have to know what you bought it for, how long you've been there, is it your primary residence, and how do you pay tax? Do you pay tax out of closing? No, the attorney will send you a 1099 in a year, and when you square up with Uncle Sam, that's when you're gonna square up with them. Now, what will not cover this, okay? If it's a 3-family investment, well, if you live there in a 3-family, it's covered. But if it's over that, it's an investment property, no, you are going to pay tax on that year. If it's a second home, you're paying taxes on it right there. If it's a commercial property, you're paying taxes on it right then and there with a 1099 when you go to square up when you do taxes for the following year with Uncle Sam. But again, those are the 2 caveats. Own it 2 years or more, single, married. And there are some weird things that happen. Like, if you rented this out, that's going to mess you up because you've used it as an investment property. And they'll ask you at closing, have you used this as an investment property? Meaning, have you ever collected rent off this or that? If that is the case, then you're probably not going to be exempt from your primary residence. They're probably going to consider it an investment property, or some portion of that will be taken out as investment property that you and your accountant will have to sit on the table and figure this thing out with, which does not sound like it would be fun at all for me. So, you always want to be as truthful as you can, especially when it comes to taxes. At the same point, be cautious of renting the house out to anybody for anything for any time period, especially where there's checks involved and, PayPal or credit cards, stuff like that, where there's, obviously a paper trail for that. Anyways, I hope that question helps you guys. A lot of people ask me that, not just on here, but at the listing presentation, they want to know that. So a lot of sellers want to know that, if they sell, do they pay, what are the taxes, what do they have to pay? Remember, if you do have to pay taxes, it's not usually what you think it is. It's not on the entire amount. It's acquisition price, any and all capital improvements, and then whatever's left after that, only that portion of that. And what is that? This depends on your tax rate, depends on your state and federal tax rates too as well, what you're going to pay on that. I don't have them on the top of my head. I forget them because, again, I don't do tax. I don't need to know that. But just something that you should be aware of when you go to sell, what we have to do. And some people get nervous, like, well, I don't want to sell if I have to pay tax. I'd rather be worth more. If you wait for it to be worth more, you're going to pay even more taxes. So just kind of, it's never an easy thing to a pill to swallow. It's something that's going to have to be done. Other than that, if it's an investment property, you just move in for 2 years, and then in 2 years you can sell it, and hopefully the market stays strong. And now if it's your primary residence, it's your primary residence. I hope that answers your question. Any and all questions or comments, leave them down below. Smash the subscribe button, and I hope to see you guys at the next video soon. Oh, see if I can turn this thing off. There it is.